Hello. Um, Today I'm going to talk about Chapter 4, choosing a form of business ownership. I'm hoping, or by the time you finish reading Chapter 4, you should know what we mean by sole proprietorships, partnerships, and corporations. Let me start with sole proprietorship. It's a business that is owned and operated by one person. In sole proprietorship, you are the boss. You can keep the money as long as you pay your tax or taxes to the government. Although a few sole proprietorships are large and have many employees, most are small. Some of today's largest corporations started as sole proprietorships. So sole proprietorships are the most popular form of ownership or business when compared with corporations or partnerships. They are the ones that they take risks in inventing new products without being afraid. And in most cases, the corporations will buy their products or buy their firm. Buy their business, in short. 72% are sole proprietorships. About 18% corporation, 10% partnerships. So this is to tell you that sole proprietorship is being operated in many, many countries. It's easy. You are free to go in and you are free to leave, meaning exit the business when you are no more satisfied with what you're doing, okay? So don't be afraid to go into a business of your own. So what I'm saying is that sole proprietorship is very, very important. Like I asked some of you in the classroom, some of you told me that you're already designing clothing, caps, and other stuff, So to go into a small business, you shouldn't be afraid. It should be fun because you are inventing things that people might want to buy. With this time of COVID-19, many people design the face masks and they're selling those things to some of us, okay? Partnership is when two or more people decided to form a business of their own because they want to make profits or they want to invent something that they feel that consumers would like to buy, okay? This form of ownership is much less common than the sole proprietorship, like I mentioned to you, or corporation. There is no legal maximum on the number of partners. You can start with 2 people, you can go with 4 people or 6 people, as long as those people are willing to bring their own share of the money to form that business. So there are other types of partnerships like general partner, limited partner. In a general partner is when a person who assumes full or share responsibility for operating a business. In the limited, it's a person who invests money in a business and say, hey, I don't want to be perturbed about management, okay? Take my money, do the business, make money for me, and reinvest the money in the partnership. So there are different types. In the partnership agreement, there must be articles of partnerships. This agreement must explain how the partnership is going to be run, who will make the final decisions. It has to be communicated. The investment for each partner will make, how much investment would they make? What happens if the partner wants to resolve the business, or if one of the members died or is no more living? So what is going to happen? So all this should be in the agreement, and it has to be stated, it has to be clear, it has to be communicated, it has to be understood by everybody in the partnership. Corporation is an artificial person created by law, with most of the legal rights of a real person, including the right to start and operate the business, to buy or sell the property, to borrow money, to sue or be sued, and to enter into binding contracts. Unlike a real person, a corporation exists only on paper. Okay? So you have to decide before going to corporation. In the corporation, there will be stock, there will be stockholders, and what do I mean by stock? It's a shared or shares of ownership of a corporation. You know, like some employee works for some companies, and the companies will give them shares. And in that case, they will become shareholders in those companies. We have what is called stockholder, a person who owns a corporate stock, okay? Open corporation, we have open corporation and closed corporation. Open corporation means the stock can be sold and bought by an individual in the public. While the closed corporation, the stock is owned relatively by few people and is not sold to the general public. So take note of that. Forming a corporation, it's not an easy business, but it's encouraged. The business, they have to go through so many paperwork in order to be able to operate as a corporation. It has to be allowed to incorporate in any state that is chosen or that they chooses, okay? And the cost of incorporating in one state compared with the cost in another state can be different also. There are advantages and disadvantages of having state corporate law, corporate laws and tax structure, depending on the state that you want to operate your corporation. We have domestic corporation. Those are the corporation in the state in which it is incorporated. And there are foreign corporation, meaning that the corporation is outside the state or outside the country, and it goes to foreign countries, and that's where they operate. And they have to follow the rules and the regulations of the country, okay? Island Corporation is a corporation chartered by a foreign government and conducting business in the United States. There are so many of such companies in USA. They are foreign business or foreign corporation operating in United States. So they have to pay tax here. And when they get to their country, they also pay tax, Remember somewhere in your book, it talks about double taxation. It can even go to triple taxation, especially with those foreign companies. Forming a corporation, there are certain things that the corporation must have. They must have the firm's name and address, the purpose of the corporation, the address or addresses, the maximum amount of stock, and the types of stock to be issued. the rights and privileges of stockholders, the length of time the corporation is to exist. All these things must be stated and clear so that people in the organization will understand what they are supposed to do. We also have stockholders' rights, dividend. If you invest money, or if you have stocks in a company, if the company is making profits, they are bound to give dividend. And they have to also describe it in their statements, how often this dividend will be given. Is it a yearly thing, or is it a 5 years thing, or 3 years thing? They have to. Again, there are other rights, like receiving information about the corporation. The stockholders are expecting that. Voting on changes to the corporate charter, attending the corporation's annual meetings. All those things has to be defined so that the stockholders will understand their expectations, okay, and their rights. Proxy is a legal form listing issues to be decided at a stockholders meeting, and also enabling stockholders to transfer their voting rights to some other individual or individuals. So yes. In the organizational meeting, the last step in forming a corporation, the incorporators and the original stockholders meet to adopt corporate bylaws and elect a board of directors. So board of directors is an important role. It's a top governing body of a corporation, the members of which are elected by the stockholders. So anybody cannot just come and say they want their board of directors. They have to be elected by the stockholders. There are also corporate officers. This can be like the president, the treasurer, and the corporate secretary, the executive vice, and the chair of the board. They have to be appointed by the board of directors, okay? So it's an important role, which many people or few people are in it. You cannot be a board of directors in the same company that you're working. In most cases, they come from different companies, and there must be important people reckoned with. So that's why it's very important. So if you read your textbook, you will come across where you have to look into the advantages and disadvantages of these three types of entities: sole proprietorships, general partnership, and regular C corporation. Please make sure you pay attention to those differences. Some can be difficult, some can be very easy. So please look at those. For the C corporation, the government is always watching them, always watching what they're doing, okay? So you ask, how many corporations do we have? There is one called S corporation, and the other one is the C corporation, which I mentioned. Let me go into the S corporation. It's a corporation that is tasked as though it were a partnership, okay? The S corporation have criteria, and those criteria are no more than 100 stockholders are allowed. So that means they cannot sell stocks to more than 100 individuals. Stockholders must be individuals, estates, or certain trusts. The corporation has no non-resident or alien shareholders. There can be one only class of outstanding stock. The firm must be a domestic corporation eligible to file for S corporation status. So all stockholders must agree to the decision to form the S corporation, okay? So becoming an S corporation, it can be an effective way to avoid double taxation while retaining the corporation's legal benefits of limited liabilities, meaning that whatever is in the corporation is what the government will tax. So it does not affect their personal properties, okay? Again, it's similar to limited liability companies, a form of business ownership that combines the benefits of a corporation and a partnership while avoiding some of the restrictions and the disadvantages of these forms of ownership. Again, if they want to go into bankruptcy or whatever, it cannot affect their personal properties. It will only affect the business. Whatever assets that they have within the business is what will be sold and pay off the taxes. We have not-for-profit corporation. It's organized to provide a social, educational, religious, or other service rather than to earn a profit. There are several out there today, not-for-profit corporation. Various charities, museums, private schools, colleges, organizations organized in this type of way, okay? So we have joint ventures, which was discussed in chapter 3. It's an agreement between two or more groups to form a business in order to achieve a specific goal or to operate for a specific period of time. Growth is very important. That's why we have these 3 types of or 4 types of businesses. Most corporations grow by expanding their present operations, yes. Like Coca-Cola Company do have many subsidiaries in foreign countries. So they operate in different countries or geographically, you know, to introduce and sell new products. So they can go and have facilities in different countries where there is need. But before a business would do that, they have to make sure there is a need, a demand in order to supply. So again, it boils down to supply and demand, which I mentioned in the classroom, okay? Organizations or corporations can also grow or expand through various ways. There is something called MAJA. The MAJA can be the combination of 2 corporations or other business entities that come to form a business. Before they do that, they look at the company. Let's say company A wants to merge with company B. They have to look, do they have the type of technology, do they have the type of resources that they would like, and do they have competent employees that will be able to do the job and do it well. So yes, a corporation can go through that route, okay? Sometimes they use what is called hostile takeover. It might be a sister company trying to take over the other company, maybe to throw the manager away because the manager is not doing an they will make a decision without telling the manager, and they will close down the place and ask the manager to surrender the keys, and ask the manager to leave with maybe they escort the manager with a police. The people in the organization, they are not sure what next to do, so we can call it a hostile takeover. A leverage buyout is another thing, a financing method that uses borrowed money to pay for the company that is being taken over. So again, if a company is not performing well and is making the company to be owing, then a decision will be made. So through this growth and through the mergers, we have, I would say, at least 3 classifications of mergers: horizontal merger, vertical merger, and conglomerate merger. I repeat, conglomerate merger. Going to horizontal merger, the merger is between firms that make and sell similar products or services in similar markets. They can decide to say, okay, let's merge together. Telephone companies, I think they did that. If you recall, you will see that especially with this company that, like TracFone, they merge with other companies, other telephone companies, so that they can bring the price of the telephone calls to be reasonable. Okay. Vertical merger is a merger between firms that operate at different but related levels in the production and marketing of a product. Conglomerate merger is a merger between firms in completely different industries. They can merge buying other companies, again, that has been doing very well, and they have all the resources, they have all the skilled, talented people who can help to make the company to grow more. Those are the kinds of companies that many corporations are looking at. So there are so many examples in your book if you look at that. The oil company does it. Hospitals does it. They buy and merge. So it's a beautiful thing. So merger and acquisition trend for the future. The issue of whether mergers and acquisitions are good for the economy and companies is still hotly debated. Yeah, they are debating, is it good? Yeah, many times it might be good, or sometimes it might not be good. Most experts predict future mergers and acquisition will be the result of cash-rich, okay, companies looking to acquire businesses that will enhance their position in the marketplace or in an industry. So it does happen. Future mergers and acquisition will be driven by solid business logic and the desire to compete in an international marketplace. Yes, so many foreigners own businesses here or own corporations here that some of you don't know. Yeah, so again, it doesn't matter as long as the business is doing very well. That's the most important thing. I think I'm done with this chapter 4. Read more on this chapter 4. Read more. You will see some of this information or knowledge in your test. So read more. And if you have questions, please do not hesitate. Email me and I will do my best to respond within 24 hours. I think I'm done. Thank you for listening or for watching this video.